We are back and live. Hopefully everyone's hearing us around the world. Here we go. Andrew's put in the comments. And now we are on our third ever creator session, and we are super honored to have Kavan the Kid with us. And we're going to be looking at some of Kavan's best work. We've been featuring him throughout our regular show, throughout the 3 years that we've been broadcasting the regular show. And it's Kavan's first ever time on the show. So I'm super excited to have him on. He's joining us at super early AM. We know lots of you are also tuning in from San Francisco, LA. Let us know where in the world you're tuning in from, what you're interested in. The eye is, what your favorite Kavan piece is, and all of the above. We've got Andrew, my regular co-host, joining me, and Paul in the background. Andrew, how's it going, mate?
All good, all good. Looking forward to this one. You know, what I love about this show is that we've been showcasing some of the best creatives and getting them on to speak about what they've been doing, showcasing some of it, their thoughts, and also putting a face behind the content is always a good thing. So I'm looking forward to this show today.
Exactly, and I'm so happy that we've got Kavan joining us. As I say, we're going to drop all your questions into the chat throughout the show. We'll be highlighting them to Kavan at the end of the show. We've got lots of questions of our own. We've also been collecting your questions over the many shows that we've had Kavan appearing in the live show, you know, through its various pieces. And for people who don't know Kavan, I don't know how the hell you're working in the space and don't know Kavan, because he's got one of the biggest profiles, as well as Gossip Goblin, that we've seen to date, which is a huge testimony to the self-publishing that you've managed to do on all of that, by the way. But you also created an AI Batman film. And did you get that taken down, was one of the first questions. That was someone poised into our thing. So what happened there exactly?
Yeah, so back in, that was kind of, like what also was a big contributing factor to the birth of Phantom X. Made a Batman film alongside Mike J. Mitch and Sav, the fellow co-founders of Phantom. Put it out, did exceptionally well. Got a lot of press, all this stuff. This was in December of 2024. And it was up for, I think, four days or something like that. And then, and it was it was at that time the most views I had ever gotten on YouTube and stuff. And so I was like, oh man, this is awesome. So I remember, checking it the fifth day, and I was like, wonder how it's doing. Gone. And I was like, huh. And then I go to all my other socials, gone. And I was like, uh-oh. Whoa. And then, YouTube will show you who pulled it. And so, right. Sure enough, it was Warner Brothers. And then they sent a cease and desist. Wow. I got it in the mail several weeks later, but I didn't bother, to reshare it after it was down. And the funny thing is once YouTube pulls something for a copyright infringement, that file, if you try to re-upload that same file, it won't even upload. It'll just be this file is under a copyright. So yeah, it was gone. I always loved because a lot of people have fond memories of it. Even when we go to studio meetings and stuff like that, they'll be like, "Oh man, that Batman film, it's really not that great." It was at the time, I think, but very dated when you watch it. But I think it's that idea of you can't see it anymore, so you can kind of build up this, make it better than it actually was. It's like when you think of a film from your childhood and you're like, "Oh man, that movie was amazing," and then you watch it as an adult and you're like, woof, that was not very good.
Man, for the time of its release, though, and the tools that we were playing around with the same thing. Honestly, we made Spider-Man shoes, we made all sorts of things, and we were in exactly the same space. So, and the fan stuff we've been watching on the show, Star Wars and all of this, truthfully, I think it was just an exciting time for everything going on, wasn't it? And so you're well excused for something like that. But the fact that you got hit with that and you learned your lesson so quickly there was interesting for Phantom X, as you say. That's really interesting arc. And I know, because we chatted in upscale San Francisco, that you actually come from a music video and commercial background 15 years before this, and then obviously through Midjourney and everything. What do you think from those sort of experiences has brought the best skills to your AI stuff? What's the most transferable from your previous life?
I would say mostly probably in the music video space, and then I also did photography as well. I put out a book, and as funny as it was, I was working on this fine art photography book, which has like a lot of art styles that is very similar to like what you see in Chronicles of Bone. I actually have it here. I can show you.
Oh, the lore, Andrew. We're getting the lore right here. I'm so glad I asked that question.
The funny thing about this book is I was working on it and I had already had the title made, and I was working on it all through 2019 and hyping it up. The title just so happened to be Stay Inside and Don't Let the Dreams Out. And I released it March of 2020.
Whoa! In the middle of COVID.
Yeah. Right. So didn't mean to predict the pandemic by any means.
What the hell?
So that's the book. And as you can see, like there's like the bandage covered like character, which is like similar to like the collector and stuff. And so it's all like self-portrait photography. So yeah, you know, like images like this, and this is all like pre-AI. You know, this is like back in the old Photoshop days. You know, like, and I would like make like masks and things and all sorts of funk. You know, I've always had a real deep fascination with masks and just like trippy stuff. Very like Pink Floyd-esque, I guess, but yeah, so I would say that, and then the music video side, because when I was doing videos, specifically like back in my early days with like Island and Atlantic Records, I was kind of gotten known as like the guy that they could give like a somewhat of a smaller budget to, you know, in the 20 to 30K range, and I could make it look really big. But in order, you know, for me to actually profit on that, I didn't hire much of a crew, so I wanted to keep as much as I could, so I'd do as much as possible. So I was like the set designer, the set builder, I was the cinematographer, the director of photography, the editor, you know, and so like I had to learn like all of these skills just outside of directing. And you know, I would say like that, like you know, it was like Super Saiyan training for like learning all these different skill sets, and I did that, you know, for a long time until I switched over to doing commercials years later, and it was a lot of fun, you know. And probably, you know, where I would say like, you know, I learned because I went to film school, but I would say in those years I learned more than I did in actual school. I'm a big believer of like, especially in 2026, and I mean I've been saying this forever, don't go to film school. It's a waste of time. Just go to the school of YouTube, and you can and the library and books on Amazon. You know, like there's so much information out there that to learn film theory and structure and shot composition and all that. And then the other stuff is like, you know, like I think when it comes to being a filmmaker is just your own creative ingenuity is going to shine through. So like once you know the technical side, and that's just like AI, you know, it's a technical learning curve that you learn, but you can go fairly quick. It's the vision that every individual brings that makes, you know, their voice stand out, and that's what, you know, I think has been for me my absolute most enjoyable and favorite thing about AI is you know, they'll say that, oh, it's a rip and all this stuff. I mean, yeah, there's some creators out there who, you know, just kind of, you know, are making like their own version of Avengers or like what I did way back in the day, a version of Batman. But I would say where we're at now, I've seen more original work through AI than I've seen come out of Hollywood, you know, like because so many creators finally get to express their vision and their voice. And I think the most exciting thing is without any form of studio interference or people telling them like, oh, you have to do it like this, or you know, from our analytics, we've seen like, and I've always said that I was like, AI didn't kill Hollywood. Hollywood killed themselves when they started using analytical writing. Like, you know, that kind of defeats the whole purpose of art. Is, you know, art should come from like a passion and a place, and so that's what's been so exciting, you know, and seeing unique stories from all over the world. I mean, like everywhere. And that's just, I think
your self-publishing is insane, man. Like that's a thing that I think is the real thing. Like having a YouTube that you reach millions of views every time a Chronicles of Bone episode goes up. And this means you don't need the publishing, you know, in the mid part. You don't need the green light from other people and those technical notes. And as you say, it's like, this is what we've discussed week on week, Andrew, isn't it? It's like, there's a lot of new routes to market, as well as a lot of like who can make stuff, and decentralization of financing, and decentralization of funding and publishing.
Yeah,
it's
definitely
incredible.
Yeah, I think obviously look at the big studios, the power that they had, or one of the powers is distribution. But you take that away from them because of YouTube or Instagram and stuff like that, then all of a sudden it's, do we need them? And one of the things that I got from what you was breaking down was the idea that I'm working in this team, and then this person saying I can't do this, and this person saying I can't do that. And obviously it looks like a lot of some of the things that you're doing is solo. Do you prefer to work solo? So, for example, when you talk about the magnific original story, Chronicles of Bone, was that done alone, or was that done with a team?
So Chronicles of Bone is made entirely by me, by myself. I will say, like, Sav, the other co-founder, comes in a lot of times and saves my ass on VFX cleaneup. You know, like there's sometimes where AI does shit that you're just like, what is this? And then I'm like, hey, Sav, I need your help. But, you know, like outside of that, like all the genning, editing, design, everything, you know, like that's all, you know, all over here. And then, you know, I started writing Chronicles of Bone. Like I wrote Chronicles of Bone probably for like 6 or 7 months before I even went into production on it. Like back during the like Echo Hunter days, you know, like when I was making those films, I was like noodling on Chronicles. And that the funny thing is like how the inspiration all started was when they announced Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. And I don't know why, but I just kind of had this like sigh of like, ugh. And I love Guillermo del Toro. Like I love him. But I was just like, I knew what it was going to be. I was like, it's just going to be the same Frankenstein movie, just better shot. It's going to be the same story, just like that we've seen 100 times, just updated. And I was like, man, like that's where it got me going with the public domain characters. I was like, you know, there's so many of these cool characters like King Arthur, Robin Hood, Peter Pan, Captain Hook, and all them. But I was like, we've seen their stories so many times that it's like, if they just update it, like who cares? Like it's like, man, we've seen it. And so I was like, what if I like put all these characters into a singular world, stripped them all down to like the, you know, the bare basics, and then rebuilt them like in my own story, in my own ways, you know, and not following, you know, like some of them are kind of like inspired by, you know, like realistic, you know, like real times and history and all that. And I was just like, no, we're just going to make up a whole fake world, throw them all in, you know, all this stuff. And then once it started going, it was just like one thing after another, and it just exploded of like, you know, when you're writing and you're just kind of like letting the characters take you everywhere. And so like I wrote, like the whole show is done when it comes to the writing all the way. Like, so it's going to be a 5-season show. Like that's how long it'll take me to tell the whole story.
I remember you telling me this in San Fran, and I was like, wow, you know, like it's incredible with all the writing and stuff. But Andrew's question about you making it all and just getting some post-production is wild, honestly. The numbers it's doing and the fact that it's a solo project is probably the biggest that's ever happened in space. And that's truly incredible because Zach, as we found out last week, is working with like 30 odd people and stuff, you know, like it's really a much bigger overall project and stuff like this. And it's
he also
really
puts out a lot more. He puts out a lot more content than I do. So he needs
exactly.
Like he's got stuff
he does a lot
daily.
of this. Exactly. He does a lot of his Instagram solo stuff, to his credit, you know, but then on the bigger projects for these YouTube long form, then he has like a much wider team of people, as well as real voice actors and musicians and everything else, as we found out. But it's truly remarkable. I love that you set us up, by the way, with Echo Hunter, because that is the first clip that we've got to showcase today. And we watched this, and at the time, I literally was aghast with the sound design, man. Yeah. This was the thing that really stood out to me in your first piece. I would say, I come from an audio background, Andrew does too. This is a piece that really stood out to us audio wise, even in the first 5 minutes. And we know it was like a 22-minute piece. So we're going to show the first 5 minutes, and we want everyone, if you haven't already, to go and watch Echo Hunter after the live show in its entirety. Because really, for the time it came out, it is breathtaking. And I still watch it a lot to this day, truthfully. So let me give you a little bit of a premise, and then we've got some questions as well. So how this show works is basically we'll watch it, and we'll be taken off screen right now. And so everyone will have the full experience. And then as we come back, we'll ask some of the questions, and it'll be watching it again to the side, basically. And you guys ask your questions, and we can get these to Kavan as well. Paul will be starring them as the producer at the end of the show, and we can get all of your questions about every piece that we watch. So in a world where the elite harvest clones for spare parts, a relentless hunter begins to question his mission while confronting his forgotten past. We'll have to choose between duty and a devastating truth. Let's check it out, Paul.
I'm not here for games, Raymond.
I doubt this was part of his design.
I'm only gonna ask once. It's time to go.
You already know I'm not getting into that box of yours.
Then that leaves us one option.
You'll have to keep my organs intact. Can't have my original getting buyer's remorse.
Your original's dead, Raymond.
Wait, what?
No grand design, only existence. But the Echoes, they chose their design, living in the shadow of their originals. At least they know why they exist, while the rest of us rot. The Echoes who don't run are gifted comfort, indulge long enough to keep them docile, content, until they are needed. In the end, it's always the same. They run, and they die. Echoes of a bad choice.
Wait, the Guard 4?
You'll find the cerebral cortex is undamaged.
Garrick! That card was capture only.
Situation didn't allow it.
You just sunk 7 years of work. The one organ we needed
Is still intact.
Let me be clear, you reanimated piece of garbage. You hunt the way we tell you to hunt, and you box product the way we tell you to box it. I swear, ever since your last partner, I am getting tired of dealing with this, Garrick. What was the picture count for card 4?
12 pictures.
It was 15 pictures. Bounty was raised.
Perfect. Make it 3. Next time, you're getting a partner. See what you can salvage.
Wow. As Karim said, I remember seeing this for the first time. That piece set a new standard when it came out.
Absolutely.
Completely.
I got goosebumps on the Echo Hunter sound design then, and I got goosebumps on the Echo sound design now. Love it.
Back in the day when AI didn't do any sound. The sound design took so long. Like, you do the production and then the sound design's a whole nother production.
Of course.
But it was a lot. I mean, I love sound. I've said it, many times where I believe sound is 90% of a film. So yeah, I spent a lot of time on that one with the sound design and building it, and it was a laborious process, but it was a really rewarding one, building out that sound design for the film. And then Miguel Johnson, the composer, knocked it out of the park with the music.
Mm-hmm. I thought the beginning bit where, like, the first minute or so, or probably 2 minutes, there was no speaking, it was just the sound. And that just told literally what we're watching on the screen, just told an amazing story. So I guess one of the first questions is like, how do you even think of this? How do you even, where do you start? Is it a case that throughout your life, you've always had these stories and now it's a case of I can bring them to life? Like, how do you decide whether I put this in this story or connect it to another one? Is it an individual story? Like, what's the inspiration? Let's just focus on this one first.
Yeah, so Echo Hunter was a story I had long before AI. But when, so I did the Batman film and then did the Star Wars fan film. And was, the whole reason I was doing those other like existing IPs is I didn't want to like waste any of my ideas before I felt the tools were at a point that I could actually make something that like had real substance and could like, ideally hold the test of time for as long as it could. And so I felt like at this point, we were finally at a point where I was like, okay, I'm going to attempt it. I'm going to make my own first original idea. And because Echo Hunter, the story revolves so heavily around the characters wearing masks, I knew that would lend itself for where AI was at the time.
Totally.
To where I could wouldn't be seeing too many human faces, and like a lot of the talking, is the two Echo Hunters, Garrick and Jax talking. So you're not going to see too much like where I'm having to worry about like, especially where back then I think that's Runway Act 1, So so that's why I chose that story, because I just felt like it fit. And so then the original story was like kind of written in a feature film format, so it was condensing it down into a short film format. But yeah, it was an incredible experience, getting to
it broke so many grounds, didn't it? Because we know that it was the first like SAG-AFTRA approved film and other things like that, and that even we've got some people mentioning that they know one of the actors that you used in Berlin and stuff like this.
Gideon Burkhardt. Yeah. He's also he's in Inglourious Bastards.
Wow.
Yeah, he's one of the bastards. He's the translator. Wow. His character dies in the if I remember correctly, I believe his character dies in the famous 3 scene. When like we'll have 3 and the guy did it like this. The terrible 3 is like this.
That's crazy.
Classic film.
Thank you so much for that tidbit. We've got some legends watching us right now that are, you know, it's crazy how many of them are also featured in the show. And it's crazy that we've only just got you on the show for the first time. As I said, you're one of the most featured artists of our entire show's history of 3 years. And when did that piece come out exactly? Was it about 18 months ago or like...
Let's see. I have my YouTube.
Because Runway Act 1 you mentioned, that was quite a while ago now. That really was first gen video stuff, wasn't it?
I released it May 28th of 2025. So
wow.
It's over a year now.
It's held up incredibly well, honestly. Yeah. And I think the actors you used, the sound design you used, all of it, it's just incredible. And getting your first piece out and now knowing that it was a longer piece condensed down to something as well is fascinating. And I'm so glad we showed that as well as all, because we know you for Chronicles of Bone. Everyone knows you for Chronicles of Bone. But, you know, we saw you in Echo and we're like, wow, who is this guy? Truthfully, we were like, this guy stands out a mile. We've never heard sound like this. The faceless mask thing's genius, by the way, for the lip sync issue of Runway Act 1. Truthfully, you know, knowing the constraints of the tech at the time, that really was very, very smart of you to do that as well. But obviously,
and I was just gonna jump in and say, and it's a story like why it also leans itself so perfectly for AI is because Hollywood would never make this movie in the aspect. Look at all the superhero movies and stuff. Once you cast big names, they gotta show their faces. That's their whole thing. That's why the superheroes are always taking their masks off, you know, and it's like kind of dumb. Like I'm always like, man, like we want to, like the way we read comics, they got the masks on. We want to see them in their full costume, not like costume from here down, you know. And so like with Echo Hunter, like when I had wrote it, you know, like that was always the premise because like they can't see their faces. That's such an important element of the story because if they take their helmet off, their head explodes because they can't risk, you know, them triggering their memories and their memories coming back to them and all of that. So like it played such a, you know, it just fit in the right space and the right world for that particular story.
Honestly, the time that it came out as well was just like, whoa, who is this? This is some next level stuff. Truthfully, on the show, we were like blown away by it. Like we were like, is this the new level? Is this the new standard? And truthfully, Chronicles of Bone just even went, you know, the next level to all of that and was such a good propeller for all of that. What were you going to say, Andrew? Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt.
So there's a couple of questions that people have been asking. So one of them is quite similar between Laura Weeby and Maureen Kerr. And it said, do you use any references for the locations and cast? And also, I thought I saw a derelict church. Is there any symbolism here?
Yeah, there was a lot of similar. Sorry. I'm running on low sleep. Hence the sunglasses. Yeah, there was a lot of symbolism with the church, particularly. Back then, we didn't have nano or any of that stuff, so it was a lot of work. You know, like almost all of that's made in Midjourney, and you know, so like keeping characters consistency was like all about like how you prompted. And like, you know, like essentially prompting in a certain way to where Midjourney would spit out the image about 90% like of like when it came to like characters the same. And remember, this is all like image to video. So like you're making that start frame image. It's not like how we do it now with like where we put in all of our references and then go like every shot you see in there started as like a first frame, you know, and then you run it through. I believe the primary model that was used in that one was Kling. I can't remember which Kling it was at that point, maybe 1.6, maybe 2.0, one of those. I think it's 1.6, but I can't remember. Yeah, so, you know, like I remember when, cause on that one I was partnered with with Arcana when we put that out. And I remember talking to one of the folks there and they were like, you know, what would be really cool because like it hadn't really been done like an AI for like location consistency was like having something that really stands out so you can tell like they're really in the same location. And that's where like the idea of like in the church, like because it was always gonna take place in the church, but like having that big cross behind Raymond. Because like then it's like it, you know, and so that was tough because like you run it through Midjourney, the cross is like changing in like sizes and all that. But that's where like the photography came into play because so much of my photography was like Photoshop. Like it was like, I would shoot most of my like self-portraits like on a blank wall, and then it was like crazy compositing. So like I just did the same thing with those images. I would get the images, take them into Photoshop, and Photoshop the images, same with the characters, to like get them to where they looked the same in all of the images. So a lot more work. Like now I do, a 20-minute Chronicles of Bone episode in about 15 to 17, sometimes 18 days. And I think Echo Hunter took me like 2 months. And it's like the same, and it's the same length, like, because it was so
agent
much.
Workflows and stuff have changed so much, haven't they, as to the output
Everything.
you can expect,
just everything.
and it's truly amazing. Well, I'm going to say, go on. Sorry.
I was just going to say, I can't remember. I really can't remember, but I think it was 8 seconds or 10 or 5.
Maximum
I can't remember.
Yeah.
Whatever the maximum length was too.
Yep.
So like you were really working,
stitching. No multi-shot even really. It was nothing. It wasn't. It really was so different. And well, the OGs know. If you're watching, like Runway Gen 1 was a different beast compared to
the olden days.
It's crazy.
2 years ago.
If we get time, by the way, on this first chapter 1 that we're going to watch, we might actually watch 2 clips from this, because this is Paul, the producer's favorite episode, because it's a clip of where Tinkerbell is being an absolute badass, so his daughter and everything, we're big Tinkerbell fans over here. And if you don't know, get your questions ready. We're going to watch the first clip from Chronicles of Bone, episode 1. We may watch back-to-back clips again if we only get time. Get your questions ready though. Paul, let's check it out.
You better talk to me at some point, Tink.
You let him die.
There was nothing we could do. We were outmatched.
There is no Neverland, no magic. Not without Peter. But I can still feel him.
He's gone, Tink. He's gone.
I will burn them all. Every Mordain.
We need to get south. It's too dangerous for us here in the Middle Realm.
How is this realm any different than the others?
There is another king in the south. The one who pulled the blade from the stone.
Excalibur. How is this possible? Excalibur has been stuck in the stone for over 2 centuries.
Around the time Neverland fell is when he pulled it. That's when the true rebellion began. I spent the last 20 years looking for you. Now that you're safe, we can start over.
If Peter is dead, Neverland is dead. There is no magic left in this world. Only suffering.
Is that a fairy I see?
We're just passing through. We are no threat.
That creature is not of the Mordain blood. Just her existence is treason. Kill them! fairy. We are not your enemy.
Everyone is my enemy.
Crazy.
Oh
Crazy,
my
crazy, crazy.
God.
Yeah, good
Yes,
old
Tink. Yes, Tink. We got some more legends jumping into the chat. Lola, Danny, welcome everyone. I see Lara, I see other people as well. How epic, man. Like,
Yeah.
By the way, some technical questions are being asked. And if you didn't know, this is the Magnific Original first ever series that they picked up. And you've done a live stream with them answering a lot of those technical questions. So there's lots of Kavan to explore on YouTube if you've got, like, you know, image to video workflow things. You've done so much. I don't know how you have the time for all this. It's incredible. But yeah, just to, you know, appease some of the people that are asking, like, you know, quite basic questions. You've answered lots of times online, you know, you've done a lot of the like workflow things, and that's why we're so much more interested in how you came up with these things and knowing you the person rather than the workflows and stuff, you know, personally. This thing of like ownable IP and public domain access of characters is truly genius. I said this to Uncanny Harry as well as his HP Lovecraft ideas because of the out of copyright, you know, using of stuff. But this is truly adaptable. And now that you've explained that you've written all 5 series for this, it is honestly so freaking awesome. And chapter 1, episode 1, like this, as I said, is Paul's favorite episode because it's just so badass to see the characters like this when you're not expecting it. It's so awesome that it just happens so quickly in the first episode. You're suddenly like, oh man, Tinkerbell is a badass now, let's go, you know.
Funny
like
thing is, my son, he's 4, so he's into Peter Pan and Tinkerbell, and I'm looking at him thinking, wait, Tinkerbell's not what you say. Yeah. That's one version of Tinkerbell. Wait until you get a bit older. I'm going to show you the real Tinkerbell. What she's really thinking.
Oh,
yeah,
brilliant.
She's one of my favorite characters. She's also one of the most powerful characters in the entire Chronicles of Bone universe.
Right.
And so I'm really excited for the episode I'm working on now. We do get like a little bit of a Tinkerbell scene, kind of more explaining like where she was, you know, the last 20 years since the fall of Neverland, and kind of setting up, you know, a showdown that'll happen later down the road. So, you know, with her and a particular character. So
nice.
really, really excited about that. But yeah, I always loved the idea of, you know, like this fairy and you know, like that she can like adjust her size so like she can get smaller, like kind of like an Ant-Man, you know, type character. You know, like yeah, but like,
when she pops out the mouth, you're like, oh my god, it's like a
like,
rebirth of this character or something. It's like, my god.
Yeah, so it's a lot of fun. And then, you know, like a lot of the characters in Chronicles of Bone, I made the costumes practically. Like yeah, so like I have here, like this is the last Lost Boys mask. And so, you know, like you take photos of it and then stick it into Nano and manipulate it to, you know, to eventually like a lot of the characters are me, and then I've changed them because it's just me taking self-portraits and then, you know, sticking them in and manipulating and all that. And then yeah, like my Nemo mask isn't here, but like the Nemo mask is also like a real mask, like exactly down to the detail. It just I changed the colors of it, but like it's funny because Magnific's based in Spain, and the creator of that mask is in Spain. And I had reached out to him and like, cause I was like cruising through Etsy and I was like, hey man, I'd love to use this mask. You know, if I bought it, would you be, you know, open? And then, so then he ended up signing over the rights for me to use the mask and everything and be able to copyright
Danny
it.
had that exact question, you know, how many more masks are in the closet for upcoming projects, knowing that they're real physical masks and like,
yeah, a lot. I mean, some of them, like I said, I've always said this, it's like the Temu versions of the characters. Cause like, you know, like the collector, when I made him, it was like, I just went and bought a bunch of bandages from CVS and wrapped my face in bandages. Wore that black circular hat that I wore at Upscale and a yellow raincoat and black gloves. And then, you know, took that, like photographed that. So it looks really dinky. And then you take it over into Nano and you manipulate it to make it look badass.
Nice.
And then did the same with like Captain Hook and Nemo, Robin Hood. It's funny. A lot of the characters all start with that same jacket that the last Lost Boy wears, but then I like manipulate the colors and stuff like that because it has like this huge fur on it and everything. So
Genius.
yeah, there's
It's
a lot of
such a
ways.
smart use of the tech, honestly. And Nano Banana changed so much, didn't it? In this transferability from like, you know, reference image to something truly badass and controllable as well. And it was a like shift from diffusion models to auto regression, which means that it truly listened to your prompt as well. And we didn't have the extra fingers and things like this. It really made a big difference. Anyway, Paul, if we can watch part 2, because like I said, this is his favorite. Let's do it, Paul. Let's watch part 2 if we can.
How you feeling?
I've been better.
Do you always keep the mask on? Can't be comfortable.
It reminds me of what is important. You're the outlaw, freeing the smaller cities across the Middle Realm. I've heard your name through the whispers. Robin Hood.
We try to restore what the Mordanes have taken from us. This is my Squire Jackal.
Don't touch him!
What was that? How'd you do that?
That's dark magic. He's the last lost boy of Neverland.
So the stories are true. Neverland is real.
It was.
I'm sorry. Jackal means no harm. He helps us verify who we can trust.
Blood magic courses through his veins.
It's okay, Tink.
You two are welcome to ride with us. We leave camp tomorrow. In the meantime, get your rest. Especially you.
I don't trust them.
Not everyone is like the Mordanes, Tink. There are still good people in the realms.
Wow.
Oh my god.
I love the build up, the story build up. A really good question that came in before, which is by Jimmy 404, and he says, assuming trajectory of AI continues, are you worried by season 5 that it will look totally different to season 1?
Oh, I mean, I'm not overly worried. I think that's a given. I mean, I hope so. I mean, like, I'm hoping for eventually, you know, like indistinguishable AI where you can't tell the difference between between AI and real footage shot on the camera, because then at that point, I mean, you know, everyone just became Netflix and HBO. So yeah, you know, I mean, like for me, like at the basis of everything, it's all about story. So, you know, understanding the tech is going to change, and yeah, you might go back and watch, you know, the prologue chapter and season 1, and it's going to, you know, and each subsequent season will look dated, but the idea is that the story will carry it through. But yeah, you know, another one of the things that I look at when building this and all of that is I kind of liken this area to what happened in the music industry, you know, a long time ago, back in like, you know, 2009, 2010, when musicians could start making their own music without studios, and they would start making their own music videos and sticking it out there and blowing up and building their own brand. And then major labels, you know, they used to develop artists, like unknown people they would develop internally and then put them out and hope they would hit. And then, you know, labels eventually got to the point where they were like, why are we doing this? Why don't we just go sign these people that are already getting tens and 20 millions of views on their videos, and then they'd sign them and put the machine behind them and then make them worldwide. So that's what I kind of look at in this case too, is like for all of us that are creating, is building up IPs that have built-in fan bases that are massive, and then being able to take those to the studios, and, you know, essentially instead of being like, hey, I have a great idea, let's make it, like that's never going to happen. Whereas opposed you go like, hey, I have a great idea, and there's, you know, a diehard fan base of 20 million plus.
Exactly. And millions of views on every YouTube upload. It's honestly incredible.
Crazy thing that you said, and I've said this to Chris many times. So I worked at MySpace. Remember MySpace back in the day? And I was there for the growth. So I was there from 2006 to about 2009. So I sort of up and the down. So when I was there, especially at the beginning, that was exactly where we are 20 years later with you guys. You know, I was working with bands like the Arctic Monkeys. No one had heard of them, but they were just building their IP slowly until they got to the point where the rest of the industry was like, hold on a minute, this social media thing might be somewhere. Let's sign as many people as possible. And that's why it gets me excited about where we are with these video space, because I'm like, I've seen this story before. I know how it's going to end. So it's exactly what you just did there with the IPs. It's so important to do that.
I love it. We've got some legends just joined in the chat, by the way. We've got A's Alter, who I know that you're doing some stuff with. We've got
A's is with Phantom. His new episode, Red Rainbow, comes out tomorrow, which
we watched it. We watched the last Red Rainbow.
His new one. His new episode 2 comes out tomorrow. I'm so excited.
We're going to
Red
be
Rainbow
having
is my
that
favorite.
For the next
It's my favorite show on the internet.
Nice. It's incredible.
I love it to no end. I cannot describe my love for that show.
Absolute legends in the chat. Sage, we see you, Blacklight, as well. We see everyone tuning in now. Oh man, what a crazy thing to think about is that you can self-publish things with millions of YouTube things and go to big broadcasters with all of that. And we've been saying this for a long time, as Andrew just said, since MySpace, and we've talked a lot about publishing and everything else in the last couple of years in the show. You're one of the ones that's really truly mastered it. Like the YouTube stuff, you've really got a diehard audience. Like you said, this is so much power you're taking now to other people when you're looking for further publishing. Is you have so much more power because you have an audience already ready for this. It's truly if you guys didn't know, that is episode 1 that we've just been watching there, and it stands up so well. And you've got episode 4 coming out very soon, and episode 3 dropped last week. Is that the sort of timeline where we're at?
Dropped
or 2 weeks?
3 weeks ago today.
Wow.
So episode 4 comes out August 4th. So the way Chronicles of Bone releases is it's the first Tuesday of every month. So, and then season 1 will have 8 episodes, and then every subsequent season will have 10.
Wow.
And so, really excited. As I was mentioning to you guys before we started the live stream, this episode has been the most challenging thing I've ever made in my life.
Action.
Essentially, it's called Battle of the Bay. It picks up right where episode 3 ends, with Varric arriving, to the bay, and Nemo is there with his army. So we see the battle between the Mordanes and Nemo's army on the bay, and it is, just pure insanity, and having hundreds of background characters fighting while you're following your main characters was such a thing. And then on top of that, not to get overly emotional, but just for people that don't know, because I rarely share much about my personal life, through this whole month, my grandfather passed away. So then had to go to my hometown for his funeral and stuff. And then while I was there, I have 2 cats. One of my cats started bleeding from its nose and having all of these issues. I was in the hospital last night until 3 a.m. And we're waiting. Of course. And then waiting, to hear back, ideally in the next hour or 2, about how he's doing. But it's and then, while all the while, life happens, you have to still hit your deadlines and get your work done. So it's just there is, I always say this, but if you want it and you want to go hard, there's no excuses at the end of the day. You just have to push through it and grind. And, some months are magic and everything's coming up, roses and awesome. And then there's some months where it's just gravel is being dumped on you. You still gotta push through. So, life.
That's honestly, thank you so much for sharing that. Honestly, I didn't know if you wanted to mention any of the personal stuff that we talked in the green room, obviously. And it's so, honestly, whenever us Europeans talk about you as a creator, that openness and just being the most nice and friendly person is one of the most first discussed things. And so it's really honestly amazing that you're willing to share those things with other creators that are going through the ebbs and flows, as I know, because I talk to them privately and they tell me as such, ebbs and flows throughout their struggling, anxiety, this and that. Are they going to get publishing? Are they not? Are they this? Everyone's going through the same sorts of things and personal problems, and some are new dads and some of this, and so much is going on in people's lives. So
life doesn't stop,
doesn't stop.
But I think it's important, like I said, I usually reserve my social media and everything just to talk about my work and projects and things like that. Don't really dive much into my personal life, but I think it's at times beneficial to share, so
definitely
people understand, because I think it's easy in social media to look at other people, and if they're doing well, and you're just like, oh man, their life must, everything in their life must just be perfect. And it's like that's not the case for anybody. Like everybody.
And so many looks up to you, honestly. Like I said, you are on like the real top of the game that everyone looks up to you. So to share those personal stories as well is really, it's so humanizing for everyone that really, like, as you said, some of your audience are more interested in your content, but I love to know the person behind it. And that's what we're all the same sort of people making stuff as well. And
I think
so, yeah.
Dan in the chat just made a really good point. He said, life is the difference between us creators and AI. And
100%. My Claude and chat, they don't overly have feelings. Though I did get in an argument one time with my chat, which is really funny. I was trying to make so I use chat a lot of times to help me with my music prompts in Suno.
Yep.
And so I'm breaking it down, and I was and a lot of times, if I put in 3 or 4 reference tracks, hey, I want it to be a mix of this, help me figure that out. And then it breaks down the instrumentation. Then I end up deleting, instruments that I don't want or any of this. So in this episode that I was on, I really wanted to make a track in the vibe and the essence of Vegeta's Sacrifice. If anyone's familiar with that track, it's so dope. And my chat, his name is Gordy. I was like, Gordy, show this. And he was like, I can't do that. That goes against copyright. I've never had him say this to me before. And I was like, bro, I'm not trying to make the track exactly. I was like, I just want the vibe. And he was like, I still can't do that. And going back and forth. I was like, okay. I was like, I just want these instruments in a different melody. Doesn't have to be the same. And he was like, well, and then going back, and I was like, bro, they don't own the instrument. They don't have the instrument copywritten. I was like, just tell me what the instrument is. I was trying to get one specific instrument and going back and forth. And then finally he was like, yeah, you're right. And And so after an hour-long conversation, he finally spit out the goods, but it was twisting an arm. And I was like, what is this right now?
We've all been there.
We've all been there as well.
The amount of swearing I say to my models, I call it everything.
I always try to be really nice, just in case we don't know where the future's going to go.
Yeah. You don't know when they're going to take over.
Yeah, but in this case, I was a little annoyed, so I was just more calling him out on his bullshit. I was like, come on, bro. I was like, they don't
come on, bro.
I was like, I literally would say that. I was like, bro. Literally, I'd be like, bro, ... I was like, they don't own the copyright on the musical instruments themselves.
Oh, mate. That is
where
funny.
are we that this is our experience? We all have this personal assistant that we talk to, and it's crazy, isn't it? And the agent and the C-Dance 2.5 that's coming next, and who knows where we're going with all of this, honestly. And as you said, if it does get into the totally can't tell the difference between real life camera and AI stuff, I mean, this is the trajectory that it feels like we're on, but maybe it will never truly get there. Again, we never really know, but the capabilities even right now to make stuff are just insane. It's really, really incredible. Anyway, we've got Chronicles of Bone Chapter 3, which you mentioned, and we're going to watch the clips from that. But we also had Last Recall, and I know, I don't want to, skew up time or anything like that, because I know that we've got a lot of questions and stuff coming in as well. Which one did you want to watch first? Did you want to go to Last Recall or go to Chronicles of Bone Chapter 3?
Oh, let's do Last Recall. Yeah, we can do it in the order because Last Recall came out before Chapter 3.
Oh, exactly right. There you go. And so a year after a catastrophic event devastates the isolated town of Harlow, Virginia, 2 federal agents use an experimental memory recovery technology to investigate what happened. As they relive the final memories of the survivors, a chilling truth emerges, one that defies logic, threatens their sanity, and suggests that the horror consumed in Harlow may not be over. So let's check it out, Paul.
Roger.
Charles, how's the day going?
Oh my god! Oh my god!
We all know what happened in Hollow last year. More than half the population was killed. By the time law enforcement got there, anyone who was still, well, whatever that was, they had to be put down.
So what does this have to do with us?
Once the town was contained and quarantined, REU was sent in. What you just saw, those are only a handful of the recalled tapes pulled from the survivors. Most of the department doesn't believe we will get the real answer. The case is still active upstairs, but for us, it's going cold. There's just one issue. We thought we had every survivor accounted for, but analytics flagged an irregularity. There are 3 individuals from that day who have not been recalled. Their recalls will most likely show what we have here. But we can't move this case over until we have them. You have warrants for 2. The others are minor. We need at least the 2 we have warrants for to officially move this over.
Cole or I haven't had anything to do with this case. Why are we getting stuck with this shit?
You both are coming off the Memory Man case. Which, you know, I know was not easy on either of you. I figured some cleanup duty was a good way to ease you back in.
Pretty quiet over there, Cole. I wouldn't mind a little company on this drive.
We are going to make these people relive the worst moment of their lives.
Yeah, never gets easy. You ever done recall before?
Like at Memories for You? No. I don't have any memories worth reliving.
I call bullshit. Everybody got a memory they would love to experience again.
I take it you've done it.
I go about once a year. Honestly, all I can afford on our salary. Shit's expensive. But in our line of work, we don't really create many good new ones, and I got a couple of gems from back in my university days.
I'm sure you do.
Wow, I absolutely love the writing in that one, and the micro expressions, as Lola pointed out, are really next level in that piece as well. A question that Paul actually had on this one is that the writing is so good. Do you have like YouTube algorithms in mind or anything like that, or are you completely free of all of that when you're like making a piece like this? You know, like, are you just writing it as good a piece as you can make it, or are you thinking, oh, I know how to reach another 100,000 people on YouTube if I write a certain way? Or are you completely free of that thinking?
Oh yeah, I'm fully free of that thinking. I just
That's
write the story,
awesome.
write the story. I mean, to be honest, this was a very risky writing element because
very
normally,
different piece. Yeah.
Well, not just in that, but like to start out a scene that violent,
right.
Usually you can get flagged on YouTube. So I was like really nervous that I was gonna get flagged. Of all the socials, LinkedIn was the one that flagged me. They blocked it out like after like 3 hours. Yeah, like they grayed it out because for violence. So you know, you always have to be a little careful with that. But you know, it was so integral to the story that it starts out like that. We see what happens to Harlow, because that's like essentially what kicks off the whole story. So like I was like, oh well, you know, I can't change it. It has to start this way. So yeah, it was, you know, and I'd had this idea also for such a long time. I mean, I wrote the idea for the Wonder Studios Beyond the Loop season 2, but like I had the idea. So I have like a journal where I just like a old school where you actually write with your hand journal. And what I wrote, all I wrote was, what if you could relive memories for the first, like, and what if you could relive memories as if experiencing them for the first time? Wow. And so then that kind of like kickstarted, like, because I actually made a project and I made a little subtle nod to it called Memory Man back in the like runway Gen 2 days when like things barely moved, you know, and it took place in present day. So I changed a lot of things, but like the premise is still there. And if you notice, like the tech is even similar and all that, but the idea behind it was, you know, what if there was this drug where people could go relive memories and like it's like you're experiencing them as if, you know, living them for the first time. And it became like a publicly available drug, no different than like, you know, alcohol or weed or any of these kind of things. And so people would go and do this drug, and maybe there's like, you know, lost loved one, or you have some crazy memory from your past that was so amazing and you want to go relive it. So, you know, there's this like kind of government run place that that's called Memories for You, that you'd go pay and do this. But then naturally my brain was like, well, how would the government use this? And I was like, oh, they would for sure use it in a police line of work and make people relive the worst memories of their lives to break down like cases. Because like, you know, imagine there's like a murder and you have a witness, you know, like witness accounts aren't very good. They can change like what someone's wearing, what they looked like. But now what if you could see it? And so that was the idea. So then, but they have to like live it as if they're experiencing it for the first time all over again. So they have to go through this traumatic experience. And so that's where the recall evidence unit comes into play, is, you know, and that they go and they're going and investigating this crime, and they make people relive these memories so they can, you know, dig through and uncover more of the truth.
Wow. This is one of my favorite ones you've ever made, or not even you, just I've seen in AI. I remember we watched this a few weeks ago and I was thinking,
yes, we did. Yeah.
This is the type of one that I could show to somebody and they could just watch it. And then afterwards I say, did you know that was AI? And they'll probably think, oh yeah, the zombies and stuff. And I say, no, the whole thing. They'll be like, what? Like it was that good. Even little things like when the woman's running just before she gets hit by the truck, the white truck, like her shoulder muscles at the back was the way it was moving, like in real life, like little things like that. The detail.
He notices all the details.
Yeah, I'm really, someone that will notice like all of the little
every detail. Yeah. But and the pacing, as Lola says as well. Yeah.
One thing that you said, like you said, you was worried that it would get well, and LinkedIn stopped it because of the violence at the beginning. Jimmy said, if you were working on a dark piece all day, what is your go-to for just chill and de-escalation?
It's so funny. I'm a weird individual. So usually after I work, I don't normally, I mean, like sometimes I'll watch like lighter things because I really love like to, you know, go back on like the old rundowns of like, you know, The Office and shows like that. But a lot of times like I end up watching like true crime.
Yeah, really, yeah.
Before bed. I don't know why, but it always seems like the narrator's voice is so peaceful. It helps me fall asleep. But right now, doing a Sopranos run back. So that's been a lot of fun. You know, that show is so, I mean, it's crazy that show started in '99 and it's still smokes. Like, so once finished the Sopranos, gonna do the Wire. So kind of going back to like that true golden age of television, like when, you know, we evolved from like the biggest thing on TV was sitcoms to like, you know, those were the shows that inspired me, where when I was, you know, growing up and wanting to be a filmmaker, it was always movies, had to be movies. And then it was shows like Sopranos, The Wire, Oz, like those really early HBO shows where it suddenly you were like, holy shit. Like you can do epic storytelling in like TV format. And it's like almost, to me, I was like, this is better than movies because you can go like so much further with the characters and the lore and the story. So then I became obsessed. And then we just saw that explode, you know, like early days of Netflix when they did like Orange is the New Black and House of Cards and all those kind of shows. And then, you know, HBO had always reigned supreme, and they still do for the most part, you know, for so long on those kind of shows. So yeah, like, you know, I think what we do at Phantom, you know, that's what we're trying to build in the AI space is with all of our artists, you know, from myself to Mike to Sav to A's to Rafa, is like making, you know, like a certain level of quality that, you know, like if it's got the Phantom X logo on it, you know that it's going to be like at a certain caliber of quality and a really good show.
Great to go back and look at the things that have lasted time as well. You know, like Sopranos, as you said, it's unbelievable when it was started to be filmed, considering how much it holds up now and stuff like that. It's really something like to go back and aspire to, I guess. It's amazing. We got some some cool comments coming in. By the way, I said earlier in the show, we're going to be doing them at the end of the show. We're almost there, by the way. We're at like... We're an hour and 15 minutes in already. It's a 90-minute show for these creator sessions. And thank you so much, as you said earlier, with your personal story of like being up and at the hospital and all of the stuff that you're going through to join us today. Really appreciate it, man. Of course.
Yeah.
We've got, as you said, we have chapter 3 now, where we've got a clip from chapter 3 and you've got chapter 4, as you said, the hardest thing that you're working on at the moment. There's some questions around that about concurrent projects and stuff. It's insane what you are able to do with that piece coming out in between episodes of Chronicles of Bone. It's just like, oh my God, dude. Like you're bringing so much of your like diary that you scribbled down in your head and your premises to life over time. And it's honestly so good that the tech has caught up to where you needed it to be to make these things happen. Truthfully, I'm very happy that you're the one using these tools and you're the one, you know, getting this attention, because those things that you wrote down, those premises, I talked to stand-up comedians, I talked to all sorts, the same exact is true. You know, they write down a really interesting premise and over time it flourishes and then they bring it into life over time to create something epic. You know, it's the same trajectory really with a lot of creatives. So it's really cool to hear that as well, that you actually do have a physical diary that you actually write in. I think Paul does as well, the producer, still uses an A2 poster and stuff and sketches out like website designs and does it old school way with marker pens and stuff. You know, we're all like 40. So that's the things that we grew up on, you know, moleskins and whatever it was that you grew up on. Andrew loves his voice apps and stuff. And, you know, we've all got our ways of just like jotting down stuff that becomes epic over time. And this is the series, you know, Chronicles of Bone is the epic thing in AI. Like most people, when they talk about AI, they talk about this. They truthfully do. It's like so big on YouTube, and so many people have, like Lara and others, have come in and found you through the show and then gone and watched the whole thing. You know, so the anticipation and the audience that you're building is truly incredible to see it, and it's really like amazing for people thinking about self-publishing in YouTube and this new world that we live in. It's really like a case study to be beholden with. It's amazing. With all of that said, we're going to follow up from chapter 2. You should go watch chapter 2. Obviously, we're not going to get time for it in this show. We've gone straight from chapter 1, and we're going to go straight to chapter 3 now. Following from the events in chapter 2, the Collector is driven by a single mission, all-out war against the Mordain Empire. As Robin Hood prepares Jackal for the road ahead, Captain Hook arrives at Dead Man's Bay, unaware that a nightmare awaits beneath the surface. Let's check it out.
You just missed that last one.
Doesn't matter. You said I could go on the next liberation. You promised.
Did I say that?
The boy's been hurling daggers and launching arrows long before the sunrise. At this rate, he'll either become a legend or accidentally pin Little John to the rocks.
I'm ready. I've done everything you've asked of me. Every lesson, every chore. I've trained day and night for this. I'm tired of always having to stay behind with Little John.
Little John can't be that bad. You haven't given up on bathing again, have you? I admit, he can be a bit dull.
As much as you lot enjoy making me the butt of the joke, the boy's right. He's earned it. He's ready. Besides, I'd much rather be swinging my hammer into someone's face than babysitting. So, by the authority vested in me by absolutely no one, I pronounce the boy a man. Well, a tiny man.
War isn't won with a bow or a blade. It's won here. Your mind will decide the battle long before your hands ever do. The moment you step onto a battlefield, death walks beside you. Fear it, and it will rule every choice you make. A warrior doesn't survive because he's fearless. He survives because he's made peace with what may come. You'll be ready sooner than later. That I promise. Besides, you can't have any misses, so run it again.
The boy is desperate.
I know, so was I. But you never mistook my impatience for readiness. And what of our new friends? How are they settling in?
Well, the one eats like he's never had food before. And the fairy, I'm pretty sure she wants to kill the boy.
Keep an eye on her, will you?
Wow.
God.
Love that. A question that came up earlier, and something that I've been thinking, because it's not just your stuff, it's others as well. Why the British accents?
Well, for me and the British accents, it's because of kind of where a lot of these characters originated from. You know, so that's, you know, wanted to keep that in line with the like, you know, like even though I'm readapting and all that, still kind of like want to pull from those elements and stuff like that. So
brilliant.
Yeah. So but like as we notice, like, you know, Nemo, he doesn't he has like kind of like it's like an Indian English accent, you know, because like where he's from, like, you know, we do finally, you know, spoiler alert, we see Nemo unmasked in the next episode, so we actually get to see what he looks like underneath the mask. But yeah, it's you know, it's a lot of fun. And then, you know, there's obviously more characters to come. Not right now, but season 2. You know, we're pretty much capped out, because I think I'm already at like 30 something characters right now that I'm bouncing around between. But yeah, you know, it's gonna be fun. And then, you know, hopefully as the tools continue to advance, my dream is that, you know, I'll eventually be able to get these episodes up to like 30-35 minutes by season 2.
Wow. Yeah.
Wow, great questions coming in. Thank you so much for leaving them during the episode, guys. By the way, Miriam, you're one of our long-term listeners, so good. And a great question about color grading. What is your color grading experience with AI clips? Since it's so different working on log footage, it feels like looking at this, you take great care with post-production in color grading.
Yeah, you know, so naturally, a lot of your shots are already to a degree graded when you're generating. So the when I color grade, I usually go into DaVinci, but it's not like some crazy amount. You know, it's like usually messing with the temperature and the tints, the contrast, the shadows, the highlights, and then like just a little bit minute details on like specific colors to make certain colors pop more than others. But you know, it's a fairly light. I mean, it's still like a grade. It's a huge difference between what it looks like and after, but it's not like how you'd grade traditional footage when it's like log. You know, like there's such a more intense grade there. And you know, I do hope one day we'll get to where AI is a true log. Because like you can generate in log, but it's not log. You know, like it'll look like log, but it doesn't actually have the color data in there that like actual log footage has. So like I would love to eventually when they get to that point in AI, like it actually has all of those color data points, so then you can really mess with it and stuff. But yeah, that's the process.
Wow. Michael Dees, he kind of follows up that question where he says, first off, thank you for sharing what's going on in your personal life while you're bagging out this amazing work. And do you have a workflow you care to share with new creators struggling to get to this level of consistency?
I mean, it's nothing, you know, overly crazy. I mean, you know, always make your character like, you know, before I start anything, you have all your character refs. Like in this new episode, you'll see, even in this last episode, you see like the, you know, how you change your character refs as what they go through. You know, like when Hook's ship gets blown up, he goes from being dry to then he's wet. You know, like it's just like adding those little details. So like, you know, and those are pretty simple things. You just take your character sheet, pop it back in, and then you're like, hey, you know, I just pop it back into Magnific and using Nano, or now like Sea Dreams, honestly. The new one is awesome. 5. Yeah. And you just be like, you know, show me image 1 exactly, but make the character wet. You know, like things like that, you know, like and so like I just can't, but this one I would say has the most changes of characters, like of the same character kind of throughout the episode, because it's a battle, so we see them incur you know, damage and things like that. So and so that, and then locations, you know, make sure to get all angles of your location. So, looking this way, looking that way, looking this way, looking that way, because then I put those refs in based off of the way the camera is with the character. And so that way, like you're removing any interpretation from Seedance and making mistakes. So if it always has the ref, it's going to make sure that like it stays consistent. And to get that, there's a multitude of ways. It's a little bit harder in Nano. It's not quite there yet when it's like, rotate the camera. Like sometimes I get it and you describe it, but sometimes it does some weird like hallucination of like what I've described plus the original image kind of like molded into one. So one of my favorite things is to like, use like Seedance in 4K. And if you don't want to be spending those kind of credits, just do it for your locations. Then you can go back down to 1080 or 720 for your actual gens, but you need it to be 4K of like you drop your location looking one way, and then like I'll say like slow 360 drone shot that's slowly moving, so then it goes in and then it like slowly rotates around and it builds the scene for you, and then you can take screen grabs of all of those and then pop those back into like C-Dream. Well, I would say Nano because C-Dream's still at 2K, so then do it in Nano at 4K and just be like, hey, like keep everything about the same, just upscale, improve the details and things like that, and then you get your images, and then now you have all the angles of your location. And then
certainly really good technical thing to do now that we can do it, and there's a really good top tip on that as well, actually. Like, I mean,
that's like one of the things that's like why I was just like, why did Seedance 2.5 have to take so long? Because I really could have used it on this episode, because you only get like 9 or 10 refs, and like I've every gen I'm doing right now is maxed out on the refs. And like, knowing that 2.5 is coming with 50 refs, I'm just like sitting here like, oh, I need it so bad.
We're all so curious about it, but you specifically need it more than others. Another question that came in, by the way. Oh, sorry, go on.
I was just gonna say, because I like to like have like even the props having their own refs, so like then it really maintains those details and stuff like that.
High-res upscale props would be nice. Imagine if we can get 50. That will be truly amazing. 30-second gens. My biggest question is that mean 30-second of audio reference input as well? Does that go hand in hand with output and input? It would be great, wouldn't it? Like with Seed Audio as well, you can make really incredible dialogue that you can upload of longer than this. So, but another great question that came in about the audio was, with the sound design on Echo Hunter, is it actually the traditional route or the AI route, or any specific details you can give about the sound that you use throughout everything would be really great, honestly.
Yeah, so Echo Hunter is true traditional. I mean, because that's back when AI footage didn't generate with sound. So like I had to make everything. That's why it was such a laborious process, because like you had to like build all of those sound effects, and like a lot of that's like through like I have a large sound effect library, and then also using sites like Artlist and things like that, and then like like kit bashing, like essentially you're layering multiple sounds to create a sound. So like there's a lot of elements that go into that. Now with Seedance, a lot of the sound design is AI, like but what you can do in Seedance is you can prompt for specific sounds. Like you can describe, just like how you're describing the visual, you can describe the sound and then get the sound out of it. I mean, there's still times where it's a lot less though than it used to be, which also helps make the process go faster, because Seedance does really, really good sound, and so but there's times where it misses on something, or like for instance, I was just doing one yesterday and like had one of my characters scream, and for whatever reason it kept giving him a demon like roar, and I was like, this dude isn't a demon, he's a regular guy. Can you speak like a regular person, please? And so then like in my prompt,
that's hilarious.
I'm like, screams, he's a regular man.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
So
do you know what? By the way, we're out of time, and I know that you had a very you may have a hard stop or anything like that. There's other questions and coming in, but if you need to go, you need to go. I totally
I got time.
It. Oh, you're the best, man.
Thank you.
You know, Uncanny Harry's tip to us on his first episode is if you put a moustache on your character, then you get a different accent when you ask for English and stuff like this, which is hilarious that that's true. And he was like trying to wrestle away from certain typical English accents you'd get through Sea Dance. And so adding a moustache to a character and then editing this out in post was how he was controlling accents. And it's crazy what people are doing, like in terms of like hacking in audio to this multimodal Sea Dance thing. Imagine if like Seed 1.0 is built into Sea Dance 3, because that is truly a multimodal audio tool that's separate right now. But if it's baked in, kind of like an LLM to Sea Dance 3, this will make a truly interesting experience where you can generate up to like 4 minutes of audio and then apply visuals in like a timeline DAW type way that, you know, me and Andrew and other sort of audiophiles have known this life for a long time. You know, whether you do Ableton, Reason, Pro Tools, Logic, any of those DAWs, you know, it's they're just there, you know, and you could build workflows this way, audio first, and it could be really interesting times. I'm really excited about all of the audio stuff. Like, clearly I just geek out about it all, but as you said, I made you this hat, you know, 90% of a film is the audio, and it's one of the best quotes honestly ever, man. It's for real so true. And as we pointed out in previous episodes, just change the dynamic of a scene by just changing the audio and it'll flip. You can have like a nice scene with dark music and it flips. The whole tone, the whole everything just flips. And the opposite's true as well. You know, you have a dark scene with a Barbie song and it's going to flip. And it's like, it's crazy how that happens. But anyway.
It's like, you know, like they've got the videos on YouTube where people have taken the Shining trailer and recut it to like happy music, and they make it like a sitcom, and it totally feels
genius.
that way. Like,
completely different.
Or I saw one where they took like Ross from Friends and they like made him into like a serial killer, and it's like once they added the music and stuff and the edits, I was like, yo, it's so true. Like the vibe.
The framing of music is unbelievable, isn't it? The tone it brings and everything, it's unreal.
There's a few questions, some more technical questions that people are asking, but just to let you know, Kavan's done an interview already with Magnific. So what we'll do is we'll put in the chat the link to that, so you can kind of hear more of a breakdown, just because we're coming to the end of the show and there's so many other questions. But anything technical, obviously we'll answer some technical questions, but anything too technical, you'll be able to see that. So we'll put a link in the chat for you right now. Can I know Raghav Eved, you've mentioned a few times some questions.
Behind the scene walkthroughs, like I said, it's prolific. It's unbelievable how prolific you are, man. And making shows in between Chronicles of Bone, also doing breakdowns and stuff in your partnerships and your agreements. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy, though. And I'm so sorry that you're going through what you're going through right now. And, you know, the silver lining is coming right on the other side of this. And it's awesome to see the success that you've had. And we've been following you since the start. When you brought up that piece before, I was like, oh my God, I even remember that piece before Echo Hunter. I was like, I've literally seen your very first video. And it's very awesome that you've come onto the show at this time, honestly, on our creator sessions, when you've got so much to watch now. It's like truly amazing that you've got so much content that you've made solo as well. Like, a question that came from the audience was from Danny, actually. Are you ever tempted to work with a bigger team for Chronicles of Bone to help the production in any way? Or do you feel like handing that off is going to add more to your palette and stuff like that? Like, would you ever entrust anyone to bring that level of stuff for the rest of the 5 seasons you've got already written?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's something, I mean, I've already been considering it, not necessarily on the show yet, but like reaching out to artists, because I've been talking about making this book for the longest time, of like kind of like a who's who in Chronicles of Bone, just like bios and all of that, and like you know, like the world map, and just to like, if you're a fan of the show, to like have a lot of context into characters, because it's a lot of characters to follow. but it's just like I don't have the time, like to build out those assets, like because I want like really dope character images for each one of them and stuff like that. So I've been like wanting to reach out to the community and be like, who's down. It'd be mostly still, because it's a book, so it'd be still image work, but like taking the character refs and just making some badass imagery and being able to build out this book. But yeah, I think later, as projects continue to develop and everything, and because like at Phantom, we have deals with major studios that we can't talk about too much and all that. And then as those things start to take shape, unfortunately there is just so much time in a day.
Of course,
and I wish I could have more. I always say that the biggest enemy is time. Like that's the only enemy, like the true enemy in my life. And so, yeah, I think, because no matter what, like I won't ever stop Chronicles. So like, whatever it gets to that point. But it's such a project that like comes from like my heart and my soul.
Yes, of course, it's your child.
Like, like I really want to like make sure that it's done to like like the very specific way, because like there's so many insanely talented people out there that I have no doubt people could come in and honestly probably smoke the visuals that I'm making. But I think for me it's like pacing and story and like I'm so particular about like which video gen gets picked, and all of that. And but yeah, no, I mean, like, we work with teams like on our commercial side at at Phantom. Like we always are working with multitude of artists and things like that. And yeah,
the other thing you've unfortunately got to make time for, as Jimmy's pointing out, is you've got to open up a Halloween mask store, because people just want to give you their money, us included. Like a store, opening a store. Like the alternate is Patreon or something. Like I don't know, but like you need to gamify, make this like collector's mask Halloween exclusive stuff.
I am so
you've
sorry.
got a call. Yes, of course.
So
of course.
Everything is okay.
I'm just going to jump off camera real quick. But,
yes, of course. We hope everything's okay.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. Oh my gosh, yes. Oh, thank you so much for joining us, Kavan the Kids. Kavan Cardoza. It's been an hell of an episode.
Yeah. And Sage said,
wow,
you're based in LA. I think, yes, he's based in LA. He's based over there. Yeah. Wow. The
most anticipated guest, I think, truthfully, in terms of how much we've watched on the show. We've just it's been incredible to follow the journey, and
exactly
the short stories he's shared, and we're so thankful for him joining us at that time in the morning and everything like that. It's
exactly. It's very early in the morning for him, and he's very open to what he's been saying. Hopefully everyone in the chat, you've got some nuggets there, from consistent characters to how he does certain things, to his inspiration, even to where he goes to chill, and that is to watch The Sopranos and The Wire. So I thought that was very funny as well.
Man, he's just so nice, isn't he? And like, my gosh, it's like, how does one man produce all of this? It's really truly inspiring to see it, like just growing millions of YouTube, subscribers, and like all of the views and everything that he's done with Chronicles of Bone, but the side quests as well, and all of the other stuff that he's doing, getting actors involved and really batting above, what's ever been achievable with a one-person output. Let's be honest, it's truly insane times. And I loved your MySpace story, mate. Truly, it is feeling like those MySpace era days for the new AI era. It's something new and something everyone's talking publishing at the moment, which Kavan is doing incredibly well at, and it's just truly inspiring to see it at that level.
No, definitely. I think that, as I was saying, there's so many things go in circles. And seeing what's happening in this space right now with the creativity, the IPs, you're building your own worlds, completely disrupting an industry where the industry will still want to stay relevant. And they're saying, how do we stay relevant? Either we build it ourselves, which can take too long, or acquisitions. And what happened literally 20 years ago when I was at MySpace is happening again now. It's almost the exact same thing. It's the only thing that's changed is that it's gone from music now to AI films. But people like Kavan, He's going to be a very, very rich man very, very soon. In fact,
oh yeah, boy.
All of the people, the Uncanny Harrys, all of the people that we're seeing now, and hopefully some of you in the chat, now's the time to get on it. You know, because people are going to
time to double down on original IP, as Sage says in the comments. And Jimmy says, I just love it when people don't wait, they do. And it feels like that time. If you pull the trigger right now, you get ahead of the curve. If you don't, then you're going to be behind. It's true that at this current moment.
One of my favorite sayings is Jay-Z in a song called What More Can I Say? And he goes, I'm far from a Harvard student, I just had the balls to do it. And I just feel that you don't need to go Harvard. Sometimes you just need to take action. And I really feel that's what's happening here. From what some of the things that you've told me, some of the things that Kavan's told me. In fact, all of the creators, they all kind of follow a similar path. And that is, you know what, now's the time. Let's put some stuff out there and let's see what happens.
Thank you very much, Lawrence. Saying great show, guys. Well done. And thank you again to Kavan and Paul, the producer in the background. Here's a link to Kavan's YouTube. If you haven't seen it, I don't know how you haven't. Honestly, it's literally one of the biggest in YouTube, but go check it out. As Andrew said earlier, there was also a Magnific behind the scenes, and they did a Wonder project as well. So lots and lots of links for Kavan all over. Just look up Kavan the Good wherever you are in socials, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, everywhere. Shout out to the producer Paul. Lola giving out a shout out to producer Paul. Really, really good work. Creator episode 3, and we'll be back again announcing more about who's in the latest in this series. Back with the regular show as well. I'm going to be in London in the next few days, so if you're in London, give me a shout. I know that I'll be meeting up with Jimmy and a few other people, but doing Lisbon Laura's takeover, hosting the event down in London on Thursday. Where are you next, mate?
I am staying exactly where I am. I've no plans to leave. Think touch wood, I don't have to. So now it's just pretty much just getting on top of things. You know, it's just catching up on a whole bunch of it. I've had a very busy May, June, and July. So now August, the plan is to have as much relaxation as possible that you can have with a 4-year-old who's just a typical boy. So we'll see what happens there.
Right. Typical boys. I know one of them, Hugo as well, Paul as well. Stay up to date as Paul's putting onto the screen. If you want to subscribe to our newsletter, but also for all future events, go sign up on theluma.com/the AI live show. You'll get a newsletter for the regular show about the pieces we're featuring and announcements of special guests in the future. Some cool ones that I want to let you know about soon, Andrew, that I've already had a chat with about August and stuff like that. So just confirming a few last things before we announce it publicly and officially, but some cool names, and you guys let us know as well who you think deserves to be on this series.
Yeah.
What a start, honestly.
Yeah, who do you
know?
Want to hear from? What artists, what designers, what producers do you want us to interview? And we'll do our best to bring them to the show. You know, this show's about you guys as much as it is about us and the artists. So please let us know.
Absolutely. With all that being said, let's see you guys in the future. Look out for, on that Luma link, future announcements. It may be on a different day, creator sessions, obviously with special guests. We do it whenever they're available. It might be a Monday, it might be a Wednesday, but just look out for it. Different day than the regular show, which is always on a Tuesday whenever it can be. We'll stick to the Tuesday slot. Miriam, you're the best. See you on Thursday. Oh, can't wait. It's been too long. I get to see Roy. I get to see Simone. I get to see Kareem. I get to see so many legends on Thursday, mate. I'm so sad you're not in London.
Yeah, I know. Not in London. Lawrence, the Fortnightly Fix will probably come back September, October. If you don't know the Fortnightly Fix, it is basically every other week I'll go live, but it's just a trading session. This is slightly outside of videos. This might be how you want to use the large language models, how you want to produce. So I've been doing that, and that's connected to do with the other podcast that I do. Now, just to let you know as well, myself and Chris, we started the In a Nutshell podcast, which is the 10-minute daily. Tomorrow, 700th episode.
Whoa.
You know, 700th episode. This show here has been going 3 years. We've been in it for a long time.
Yes, that's crazy. You continued that, mate, and got it to that many episodes. It was a 10-minute idea that we had, you know, just to make instead of avoid, because we would talk about this. Remember, we would just talk about it, and we're like, why don't we record this? Why don't we just do 10-minute recordings of like whatever the news is in that day? And it was a smart idea to do that, and
it's still going, and also
amazing
this show as well. So again, some really cool shows that we've got going, a part of our little ecosystem. So thank you so much for everyone in the chat for making it happen.
Yeah, you guys are the best. And we'll see you all in a future episode.